Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Prophet Lynn Templeton, the Prophet Templeton Hour, and the Light of Truth Ministries International. I want to thank you for joining us. This is it's a ministry. We minister to the matured. Our focus, I should say, we minister to everyone who comes to God, but our focus is the matured knowledge of God at this point. And so we have another sermon today, a conversation that will bless those who have found their way in the Word, who are moving forward. Good afternoon, Amber. Good to see you. I think that you'll find this enlightening. This, again, is an inspired. Just about all of my sermons are inspired. That's why I don't have this massive following, because it is a word from God, and not everybody want to hear what they claim they want to hear. But I think that you'll find this enlightening. As I said earlier, I was pondering the idea of John 14:6 on my long, I call it nature walk. There's a very long nature trail in this small town I'm living in now, which I love. And there's this trail is about over 3 miles long, maybe 3.5 miles, and I'm pushing it to 4 mile per a walk. And I have some very good enlightening moments during that walk. And on this last walk, I think it was that God inspired me. I was pondering the idea of John 14:6, which is one of the pivotal verses for this session. And it goes, it's where Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." So it was, I had understood thoroughly him being the way, and I fully understand the truth, but I didn't quite honestly connect how how the way and the truth connected fully into the meaning of the life, and how all three of those integrated and became one. And so this is what God opened my eyes to see a couple of days ago. And so that's what today's session is about. And we have a little bit of prophecy at the end. So I want to try not to forget to give you that vision that my wife had last night. A very interesting vision, and it ties into our discussion, actually, in a roundabout way. So let's see. Let me make sure I get everything else out of the way. I want to mention that Prophetess Rosemary has finished her book. It is a very good book, if I say so myself, because it is it is the result of the knowledge that God gave to my wife and I. It is at the core of that knowledge. And she titled it, she just brought a copy in. She titled it Levels of Truth, Unveiling Spiritual Realities. Levels of Truth, Unveiling Spiritual Realities. And one of the publishers told her, who was a Christian, told her that it was a very good book, a very interesting book as well. And as I said, when we were called, God revealed certain knowledge when my wife thought she was sleeping, and an angel appeared and told her to write down word for word what he was about to dictate to her. Oh, you can find it at Amazon. It's at Amazon, right? You can find it currently at Amazon. In October? Oh, not until October, but it's at Amazon. And so let's see, what was I? Anyway, I was doing the preliminary, and so she had this dream, and so he told her to write down, and it was all centered around the knowledge of truth and the meaning of the truth. And so this is why her book is centered in that area. And my book, it gets into, it takes it, how should I say? My book actually will get into the mechanics. Good afternoon, Donna. My book will get into the mechanics of knowledge. It will delve into that, the more difficult discussions, which, by the way, my wife is having to help me. I mean, I've been writing on this book for about 8 or 9 years. And so she's helping me now. What we found out is I need to break it down. I tried to put too much into this book. And so we're going to have to break it down and do a book. I'm going to have to do a book 1 and a book 2. And actually, it could be 3 different books, because the knowledge is the knowledge about truth. It gets kind of deep, if I say so myself, because it stretched me when God revealed it to me from my wife's notes. But anyway, so she's helping me with that. And I figure probably by late this year, it'll be available. Rather, we'll be ready to send it back to the publisher, a better written book. So, okay, I think I covered all the preliminary. Today's topic is the living dead. And as I said, this is something that God has inspired me. I was asking him questions about some of the people that I've tried to minister to and how difficult it was. And God responded he responded by showing me John 14:6 and the complete meaning of that last part where it says that he was the life in addition to the way and the truth. So here we go. Now, I want to say, when I realized I didn't have a complete understanding of the entire verse, I thought, what does life in the context of truth and the way have to do with, how does that all fit together? So the Spirit moved up on me a couple of days ago, and a revelation became clear to me, the true meaning of how all of this fits together. And God first revealed to me, he spoke this to me first. He said that most people love to lie to themselves. Most people love lying to whatever the proper English, themselves or self, however you should say that. But I'm going to say it this way. Most people like lying to themselves. They like lying to themselves. That was the first thing that God made me understand. And, the reason why I later found out that day why it's so important to understand why people like lying to themselves. It is because people they want life to center around what they want to do. They want life to bend and shape to their desires, I'll say. And God showed me that this is why evil is so hard to eradicate, is because people like lying to themselves. This make it difficult to get at their behavior, their habits, what they do. You see, this is why it's hard to get at the evil that people do, is because they like lying to themselves. And we'll delve into that, the details of the meaning of that a little later. But I want to just start out by saying people like lying to themselves. That was the first thing that God revealed to me. And the second thing he told me is that God revealed that life itself is contingent on the truth. The very first thing God did before he even created this world, he even created Adam, way before Adam was created, was he threw truth to the ground. That's in Daniel. It's in Daniel 8. I think it's Daniel 8. Yes, Daniel 8. He threw truth to the ground. So truth was the foundation that everything was built on. You see, and so many of you have heard my sermon of how man was shaped from the ground, which the truth is a part of, because God threw truth to the ground. And it can be proven by the light of truth would emanate from the earth that can be seen out in space. So the truth is the essence, the source of life itself. Okay. So God revealed the second point, that life itself is contingent on truth. And we'll delve into that a little more. I'm outlining this first. So the first thing, most people love lying to themselves. Okay. The second is that God revealed that life itself is contingent on truth. You see, you have to understand the marvelous meaning of the truth is that the angels asked God after he threw truth to the ground. They made a remark. I'm trying to, let's see. The remark goes something, why did he throw his servant truth? Why he threw his I forget the word they used, but why truth was thrown to the ground. And God responded that his truth would rise again. And that's a whole nother sermon, a powerful one. So the truth is a spirit. The truth is the most important spirit that man has to grab hold of in order for him to truly satisfy God. In order for man to elevate himself into full righteousness, to become the people that God wants them to become, attaining the power that they are supposed to attain, it has to be done through the truth. They have to arrive at the truth at some point, even if it means they come to this life again and again. They'll have to come back if necessary. You see? And that's in the Bible. That's in the Bible, but that's not today's sermon. But I'll show you that where some people have been here before. Okay. Now, I want to say well, let's look at number 3. It says to abandon truth is a indirect path to death. To abandon truth is an indirect path to death. So those 3 things are the essence of today's discussion. And the first, most people love lying to themselves. Second, God revealed that life itself is contingent on the truth. And the maintenance of life, the maintaining of life is contingent on truth. And third, to abandon truth is an indirect path to death. So, and death is a process in most cases. Death is a process in most instances. It can be sudden, but death is mostly a process, as Genesis 4:3 explains. So now let me back up. I've given you really an overview of what I want to discuss, the 3 major categories of what I want to discuss. And so I want to back up. Most people love lying to themselves. In Psalms 119, 104, God says, through your precepts, I get understanding. Therefore, I hate every false way. So a lie is falseness. Okay. A lie is falseness. And so this verse is indicating that in order for you to lift yourself out of the state mindset, or lift yourself, I'll say it a different way, out of the spell that transpired after Adam and Eve made the mistake that they did. It was a spell that was cast over mankind. And in order to come out of that spell, that mindset, you have got to learn certain precepts, you see, that will lead you into the fullness of truth. And I'll say a different way. Truth gives you precepts that will lift you out of the mental state that is the result of the spell that came over man when he encountered Yaldabaoth, who is Satan in the garden, the spell that he cast. You see, it's lying to ourselves became possible. It wasn't possible before that spell, before they listened to that voice. You see, lying to oneself was not possible. There was all man was in that oneness, that one mind. You see, so what happened was when they listened to him in Genesis 3, when they listened to him, the result was that now they could hear other voices. They could hear from other voices. It says that the serpent was subtle. Subtle means these are things that we pick up on that are not, you don't hear directly, but they are like whispering voices. Okay. See, mankind could not hear the spirits, the other voices of the other spirits before he sinned. You see, the subtle voices. You see, they were only hearing the voice of truth. And this is the voice this is Christ speaking, the voice of truth. Okay. So mankind, after he listened through Adam, after listening to the outer voices or the outer voice, then we became subject. We can be, at that point, we now can be subject to the other voices, you see. And it's important for us to stay in the truth so that you will hear the voice of creation. You will hear the voice of your maker. You will hear the voice of the angels who Jesus sent to speak to you. That, remember, the Lord God is one. So these angels of his, they are speaking the words that he would speak, and they speak to you things that are good, things that are healing, things that are correcting. They speak life. They speak life to you. You see, the voice of truth. You see, so we have to remember that, well, I've said that before. You have to remember that that Satan, when they listened to that serpent who was Satan, that we then became, the other voices became available to us. And now you have to lift yourself above those voices. And the way you lift yourself above the other voices is to stay in the truth. Is to stay in the truth. You see, whenever you have delusions, or, you know, a lot of times, let me say it a different way. When we get these crazy ideas, these crazy ideas are the result of things that we hear and see that are not of this reality, that don't make, you see what I'm saying, that don't make any sense. So you hear there, so you have access to these other voices, but the other voices become fainter and fainter as you move into the truth, as you move into the practice of the truth. Okay. These other voices become fainter and fainter. Just the same, by the same token, if you move away from God and you start getting into your own wishes, your own illusions, and your own evil idea, you move away from God's voice. As you get into the fleshly things that you surrender to those fleshly things, you're hearing more of those foreign voices that are in Satan's speaking. You see that? So it is the truth that is the key to ours keeping our mind, our hearts in the right place. Remember, the definition of the mind is, the spiritual mind is the heart. So as when we stay in that right mind or that right heart, it is the result of us staying in the truth. Okay. Now, the hearing of the voice of truth is maintained when we stay in the word, which is written by the author who is of truth, which is written by the author of truth. So the word, when it's elevated, it becomes truth when it's elevated. Now, y'all have heard me say that before, but I just wanted to bring that up. It seemed to be something that I needed to mention. Now, so uh, we love lying to ourselves. I want to talk about that for a second. We love lying to ourselves because it's easy for us to accept uh, things that line up with our desires. You see, this is where it's important to stay in the truth, even more so important, or just as important. Why it's just as important to stay in the truth, because you get into lying to yourself. I have to still work at it. When I'm studying the truth, but I'm teaching the truth. But if I take three or 4 days off, and if I get too lax, I find myself, the flesh, the emotional mind is what I call it, the flesh mind. It pulls you back where those voices, those subtle voices are, you see, which are speaking fleshly things to you, you see. But we love lying to ourselves because we fall, we stay too much in that flesh mind, or we like being in that flesh mind. And so people love lying to themselves. You see, they are they are easy targets of those who like lying to them. You see, it's easy to accept. If you like lying to yourself, it's easy to accept other people's lies. It makes it easier to accept other people's lies. In fact, it cuts off a skill that God has given you. When you stay in the truth, it's easier to spot it's easier to spot a person who is a liar. It is far easier. You see that? When you are when you're a liar, you are more receptive to other people's lies. When you living in the truth and you focus on being truthful, it is difficult for a person to lie to you, because your discernment increases. The truth increases discernment, and it's easy to pick up on a person that is getting ready to lie to you or is lying to you. You see, in fact, if you stay in that level of truth, or you continue to climb that level of truth, that you can then sometimes, when you walk in the room, before that person even speak, before you even see that person, even there are people out there that know that a certain person is here and he is a liar and that he's a wicked man. You see what I'm saying? You see, that goes higher than discernment. That moves into perceiving. That moves into perceiving. Your spirit is mostly at play in order for you to perceive. And that skill of perceiving is the result of someone who is aligned in truth, explicitly aligned in the truth. And so these abilities of knowing people name, even you will know people name and they've never told you the name. You will know their addresses. This is how prophets do it. Yeah, this is how they move into that at a higher level. Okay, this is how they move into it. Now, God, when I was first called, you automatically get a degree of it, and I was doing it at a level that I cannot do at this point. But I operate at that level when I'm in the truth at its fullest. Then I operate at that level. Okay. But anyway, this is the importance of staying in the truth. You see, and you have to be careful because we want to, it is the flesh part of us that wants to hear these these lies that are agreeing with our desires, you see, but you have to keep yourself aligned. Okay, now I'm going to get to this last point. I don't know how I'm doing here. I probably went off a little bit here and left, but y'all forgive me and y'all correct me. You're welcome to send me a message and say, okay, prophet, improve on this or improve on that. That's fine. That's okay. And I don't mind because I'm not ego driven. Okay. Now, this last point, this last area that I want to discuss about this is that life, which comes from the Father, life is the result of truth. Remember, I told you God threw the truth to the ground before he made Adam. So the level of life, here we go, the level of life you're living is contingent on the level of truth you exist in. There are people that are existing at higher levels of life. And that's why they perceive things that you don't perceive. Invites, I mean, this can go for you. You may be at a level of life that others don't comprehend. You see, because the level of life that you exist at is contingent again on truth. And truth is the source of the light. And remember, life is the light. When you were born, the first thing that was recognizable was the light, or the let's see, is that a good example? Was when you open your eyes. When you open your eyes, you could see it. You have to see, and light is the tool or the source of seeing. And even in the spiritual world, where our eyes aren't used, light is the source of seeing. You see what I'm saying? So the level of truth is what gives us, what level of truth we're at is what gives us the level of light that we are receiving and that we are emanating at. Okay. So when you abandon, I said all that to say that when you abandon the truth, you literally abandon the process of life. You move toward darkness or death. You literally, as you move away from truth, you move into darkness, which is where death is. The final step, once you get into darkness, is death. You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm going to give an example of what I mean in this physical reality. Now, that was the teaching, but here's the example of that. When someone who now, you have people out there who don't know the word, who don't know what the Bible say about what's coming, who don't, they have no idea of what time it is. And so these people, there are some of these people, they're doing no preparation for the disasters that are getting ready just around the corner to unfold. And so when these disasters hit, these are people that don't have food stocked up. They don't have no extra water. They have no way of protecting themselves. uh, and they don't have none of the things that they should have, and so what this means is literally they're going to perish because someone may break in and harm them and take their life. Someone, they may starve to death. A number of things that can happen because they're not prepared. So this is a literal example of what I'm talking about. Um, so these people, they have not received the truth, because if you look around you, something is getting ready to go down in more than one thing. And if you can't see it, at least see one of the big events that's getting ready to happen, then you're literally at the mercy of this world. And that ain't a good place to be. So that is just a literal example right there. But to abandon the truth is an indirect path or an indirect process to death. So it's literal as well as sophisticated in terms of our understanding. And many people have abandoned the truth. I see it every day. Most people are living in their own little world. And this is why it's so hard for evil to be eradicated. You have to get at the truth. You have to bring that up in the discussion. You see, and this is why you cannot be successful in this time period of saving these people without addressing the truth, because so many people are walking dead. There are many, many, many people that are just the walking dead, and they're walking dead because they are literally people that are loving the lies that they're being told. And people that love lying to themselves, they don't mind other people that lie to them and tell them the things that they want to hear. These are people that like lying to them. That when it says most people like lying to themselves, these are people that like it when people who they respect or who they admire, when they lie to them and tell them what they want to hear. These are the people that listen and believe it, and they're led to the slaughter. And that's what's happening right now. There are many, many, many people being led to the slaughter because they like being lied to, and they like lying to themselves. And so the Bible says that without the truth, you can't be saved. You can't be. And, that's a hard one, because I see people every day who I would like to say something to, but there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. They're just lost. Unless God shifts something in their lives, there's nothing I can do, and there's nothing that you could do. So I just realized the time. I need to sum this up. Now, I want to say, in summing this up, that, I'm going to say the prophecy for next Sunday, because I went way over today. I do apologize. But I want to summarize by saying we have got to, and I know I preach on the truth often because it's so important. We've got to stay centered on the truth, because I'm going to tell you, there's an event that's going to happen in the future. I wanted to say distant, but it ain't distant future. There's some things that are going to be seen that there are people who whose mind, when they see these things and they have lived a lie and they've lived in their own contained world, that they're going to lose their mind when they see these things, because God is going to allow these things to appear in the sky, in the sky. And there are many people, many people, God has shown me they're going to literally have nervous breakdowns. They're going to literally, it's going to destroy their world because they've tried to recreate their own world, you see. And so this is the importance of this sermon. This is why we have to stay anchored in the truth. Because, yeah, God is going to destroy their illusion. Their illusion. And an illusion is the highest form of lying. It is the highest form of lying. And this is what God is going to do. And it won't be that long, because, as I mentioned last Sunday, people are already, they've seen in Alaska these large, huge objects in the sky. Huge objects. And it's going to happen soon. It matter of months, I would say. We'll put it that way. So I've taken up too much time. I'll start out next week talking about the prophecies, the prophecy in particular that Rosemary had. And so I'll have to say that for then. I want to thank you for joining us. I hope you have gotten something from it. And I'd like to pray a blessing over you for this coming week. I want to thank God for his word, and I want to thank him for his people. Lord, I pray that you protect and you keep your people, that you open the word up in their hearts and reveal to them where they are, what they need to see in the word that has been spoken. Be with them, be with their families, with their children. It is in your name that I pray and I ask these things. Amen. We thank you for joining us, and I pray that you be blessed this week, and we'll see you again next Sunday. Be blessed. So long.